And a big good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Gantry TV. We had a brief 1 week hiatus, but we're back here with RTA Virtual Motorsport action on your Tuesday night. And we are back to the Formula Vs. It is the Motorsport.ie Formula V Championship. It is our fourth season in Formula Vs here in RTA, and I tell you what, it's going to be an absolute cracker. We've got Snetterton here this evening, folks, the Snetterton 200 circuit, the shorter variation of the circuit located in Norfolk, but we'll have more on that later. Just myself, Evan Dalton, in the commentary box tonight, but as always, we have Ronan Hederman behind the scenes. He'll be popping in throughout the evening to give the odd word of advice here or there, but it's a pleasure to have you alongside us once again for this Formula V Championship. We have a lot of returning faces, but more importantly, we have some new names to mix in amongst the bunch as well. So you'll be seeing them throughout the evening, and we will be having a look at those drivers a little bit more in depth as the evening goes on. I suppose a big talking point coming into tonight, especially because he is racing a Formula V, has to be this man, Ronan Doherty, who in theory is currently Ireland's #1 Formula V racer, winning the Leinster Trophy on Sunday in Mondello Park. A great day for him, winning it by 20.3 seconds as he spins on the stream to show us that. But a really, really fabulous effort from Ronan, and I suppose he's probably not going to really mind too much if it's a poor result here tonight. He is at one with the V at the moment, and he'll be looking to continue on this strong form. Another man racing in that race was Jordan Kelly, but he won't be here tonight. And another man racing in that one was Conor Melia, of course. Conor, unfortunately, suffering some form of engine failure. He didn't exactly tell us what it was, but there's a lot of smoke out on track, so it was something of the like. But Conor, as always, very quick in a single-seater, so keep an eye on him too. As the McClements brothers, Sean and Dylan, he currently sees second and third in practice on that same piece of tarmac as Conor Melia. Got to keep an eye on these. Got to keep an eye on Dylan McClements as well, especially when it comes to a single-seater, because even though he was good in the tin tops, much better in a single-seater. He will admit that himself. A couple of new names then on the left-hand side. Robbie Callaghan is highest of the new names, I suppose, in fourth, and then you have Tor Tullo in fifth position. If there is any Japanese viewers watching and I am butchering that, please feel free to correct us, and please feel free to correct us about anything in the stream chat and chat with us here this evening. We'll try to read out as many comments as we can on both our YouTube and Facebook live streams, and of course we're live streaming on Motorsport.ie page as well, so do feel free to comment on those. Some more new names as well. Matthew Todd, I believe, is the new one, certainly one we haven't seen in quite a while. Mark Ivory's returning for more. Then Nick Tullo as well, who I'm going to put two and two together here and imagine he's some relation of Tor, because they have the same surname, so that's usually how that works, I suppose. And Josh Brown as well, a new name to keep an eye on. Josh only signing up for the championship about 20 minutes ago, so be interesting to see what Josh can do on very, very short notice. But we will be going into qualifying in a minute's time, and we will get to decide our first pole position of the season. And it's not an overly important one here at Snetterton. It is the 200 circuit variation that we are doing. So all the midfield corners, Agostini, Hamilton, all those sort of corners, completely cut out of this. We are almost running sort of the outer loop, if you'd like to say. It's a right-hander at what is typically the Montreal hairpin, and then down the Bentley straight towards Nelson. But we're right on board with that during qualifying, and we will check out and see the circuit in depth. Big thanks, of course, to Motorsport.ie, who are joining us once again this season. Motorsport.ie were brilliant sponsors of the Mustang America's Cup, and they provided a trophy for the race winner in the feature race. And those were collected by the various winners from Peter McCann the last few weeks. It's a big, big privilege to have Motorsport.ie alongside us once again for this season, and we will be harping on about how great they are throughout the next 7 weeks, because it's just the correct thing to do, isn't it? Absolute fabulous page for all your Irish motorsport needs is Motorsport.ie, so make sure you do check them out, as they are in partnership once again here with Ireland's premier sim racing series. We'll have qualifying coming up now, folks, at this 4.219 kilometre circuit, or exactly 2 miles, hence why it's given 200. And funnily enough, Snetterton 300 is 3 miles. Who would have guessed? but it is 8 corners here in this circuit. The lap record is a 106.5. We're not going to get close to that, unfortunately. This Formula V wouldn't be up to the sort of speeds that that lap was set with. The Formula V, as listed by iRacing specs, is an air-cooled 4-cylinder Volkswagen engine at a 69 brake horsepower, 396 kilograms this car on a 4-speed manual gearbox, and it is a simple suspension setup when you can adjust the front and rear swing axles. But of course they do differ throughout the world. That is just sort of the very basic iRacing spec. These guys, of course, all have to run equal setups, so you don't need to worry too much about that. But if you were going Formula V racing for real, you would be able to tamper with things a little bit. You're not allowed to adjust the gear ratios, is one fact that Ronan was telling me after his Leinster Trophy win. You're not actually allowed to adjust the gear ratios in Ireland's Formula V Championship, certainly. And obviously, running a fixed setup, you can't do it here in this either. This is a very unusual start to qualifying, though. It's almost like they're all running a formation lap, side by side, as we see someone have to ruin the fun and go spinning round, heading through the Nelson corner. But maybe they're all looking for a tow. Maybe they're all just planning their approach. But we don't usually see cars as close as this in qualifying. It's going to be a little bit of an adjustment, folks. We're going from a GT3 to a very small single-seater. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of chaos tonight, if we see a couple of collisions and maybe a couple of dramatic moments. It's going to happen, unfortunately, because, as we said, it's a big step in the opposite direction. But first qualifying laps getting underway now, 2 minutes down out of the 15, and I believe we're on board with one of the McClemenses heading in towards the final corner now. You can see both the gap times for both Sean and Dylan on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. We'll have plenty of sector times popping up there throughout the night. And across the line, we will actually find out which one this is, as will be the banker time for the rest of them to beat. Sean McGoldrick and Ronan Doherty both getting their laps underway as well. Sean McGoldrick, a very interesting season last season for him. He finished 4th in the A Championship, which was what he wanted to do, and finish in the top 5 of the championship. Took 7 podiums, which was better than his 2 previous seasons. Super Formula Lights, he took 6. GT4 Cup, he took 6. And he's currently just gone purple in Sector 1. But that is actually beaten by Thor Tullo. So keep an eye on the new man on the scene. Sean McGoldrick running a very yellow livery in contrast to his very American livery from the Mustang world. He's not running a yellow livery. He's running a Valentino Rossi livery, because I see the doctor sticker on the side and the big Monster Energy logo. So that is a Valentino Rossi livery that Sean McGoldrick is running for this season. It just doesn't quite work with the number 19, but I'm sure we can judge the liveries more throughout the season, and probably when Kevin Galvin rejoins the commentary box, because we always end up doing it somehow, especially when Jamal Gandor provides the goods as usual. But here's the first lap of the session. Then it will be Sean McGoldrick up and across the start-finish line. Conor Melia as well. He's going to set a quick time. He is currently going purple in the first sector, but it's going to actually be Peter McCann that goes quicker than 2 of them. And there's Conor Melia, who goes to the top. Ronan's already only in 5th. Rory O'Shea in 6th. Tortolo slots into 5th. And then Dave Collier slots into 4th, I should say. Improvement there for Rich Murphy as well, who goes to 5th. And Dave Collier running a Castor livery, which I suppose has become very famous in motorsport throughout the years. Mark Ivory is able to jump up to 5th place, but a very good, strong lap that from Peter McCann. Tony Stack is improving to 3rd, to the Kerryman. I think a good jump on there. And next time some of the front runners come around, we will run on board with a lap, folks. Here is Tony Stack running a Mario livery. Very impressed with that, Tony. You've slightly won me over there. As who doesn't love Mario Kart? And I suppose the Formula V's are like that in a sense. Conor Melia currently quickest, however. He's coming into the back part of the circuit now, I should say, in towards what is typically turn 10 and turn 11, but of course changes for the shorter variation of this Snetterton circuit, because there is only 8 corners, so how could you have turn 11? Conor Melia, though, we're riding on board with him now, and I don't think we've ever done an on-board lap with Conor, so we might be able to do that now. He's just going to try extend the gears as long as possible, picking up a nice slipstream from the car in front, and it's down towards the Riches corner of turn number 1. 4th gear now for Conor, and he will look to just try and dab on the brakes for as short as possible. Just in towards here, just bleed off a little bit of speed, and you can see there, not bleeding off an awful lot, still keeping about 140 minimum corner speed. Runs a little bit wide down towards the Montreal hairpin of turn number 2, and a slight bit obstructed actually here is Connor, but hit the apex there on the inside. You don't have to worry about committing to that inside apex, because you are flicking it back on towards the Bentley straight, cutting out that infield, of course, down towards the Brundle and Nelson corners. So you got to commit to this first left-hander as much as possible, and then very heavy braking for Nelson. You want to keep it as close to the left-hand side here as humanly possible, and Connor has pulled off to the left-hand side and will not be continuing on this lap, very disappointingly. So that puts our track preview, I suppose, at a little bit of a disadvantage. But Connor still second here as he's heading down towards the bomb hole corner, the right-hander. Pick up as much curb there as you can, and then just drift the car wide. These corners are all about your minimum speeds and how much you can take through this complex of track. Try keep it as flat as possible in towards the right-hander, and then straight line your braking for the final corner. Don't hop over that red sausage curb. Run wide out of the final corner of Murray's and then up across the start-finish line. You can see someone ran too wide in front, and there was a bit of a spinner there. That was Ronan Doherty, actually, I think we're hearing, who's currently quickest in the session. So Ronan first, Connor second, and then Dylan McClemens in third. Rory O'Shea back up to fourth. A disappointing season, I think, for Rory last season. He only got 13th in the A Championship in the end with 224 points, which is not a bad point at all by any stretch of the imagination, but not really where he wants to be. Was only able to finish on the podium 3 times, which was a significant downturn from the 11 podiums he picked up in the Super Formula Lights. But then we take it back to the GT4 Cup, where he only got 4 podiums and 2 came at the same circuit. So I think we know Rory O'Shea is that little bit better in a single-seater, which I suppose trends correctly, because of course he is a Tillotson T4 karter, likes this sort of style of driving, although in his other sim racing endeavours he has raced more endurance formats, so he is definitely a diverse driver. But from what we've seen here on Gantry TV, definitely prefers the single seater. Dylan McClemens jumps up to second. You can see him getting a slipstream from Ronan Doherty in front. Ronan, Dylan and Sean not in matching liveries this season, because Ronan, of course, has his real Formula V scheme on his car. And then Dylan and Sean, I imagine, have gone for something similar as they usually do, the 3-team DDO representees. Oh, they were running black and yellow, black and pink, and black and green last season, which, in all honesty, for the first couple of rounds, I think threw myself, Kieran and Kevin completely off, but it made it a lot easier for us this season. And Sean, actually, telling me that the reason he goes for sort of simple colours, where Dylan might go for the purples and stuff, is he's actually colourblind, which is something I didn't find out for quite a long time, until he said to me the complete wrong colour for something, and 2 + 2 = 4. So that's why Sean runs more simple colours, is so he can actually appreciate his own livery. Currently 5th in session. We'll come back to him in a few moments' time. A little bit down the order, Wayne O'Keefe has had a big improvement to 14. Here's Jamal Gandor, currently sitting in 20th, not set a lap time as Jamal, and a very good end to the season for Jamal last season. He was able to take the most improved driver in a really, really fabulous showing. Took 13 top 10 finishes in the Motorsport.ie Mustang America's Cup, with 1 podium finish as well, of course. I believe that came in Willow Springs. It's very early on in the season, but still Jamal was very, very much consistent, and even kept racing through an earthquake. And I wish that was a joke, but he genuinely kept pedal to the metal while his sim rig was presumably shaking, although Jamal confirming to us, of course, very quickly that everyone was okay. So that means we're allowed to make jokes about it here on Gantry TV. But great to have Jamal back with us. Admittedly, Jamal has said that he despises this car and he doesn't think he's going to be quick. So Jamal, unfortunately, will have to learn very quickly. Robbie Callahan improving to 7th spot, running the green, white and orange is Robbie. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do here in his first appearance in RTA Virtual Motorsports. Purple sectors going in for both the McClemenses. Dylan putting in the middle and Sean in the final, but none of them able to get close to Ronan Doherty for now. Thor Tullo has improved back up to 4th spot, with Nick down in 19th, still not finding enough to get close to Thor. Peter McCann set that initial great lap, but has remained 8th for the time being, just ahead of Andrew Murphy. And then Sean McGoldrick down in 10th. He'll be looking for an improvement here in qualifying. Of course, if you didn't watch any of the Mustang America's Cup, you might be wondering who the defending champion is here for this Formula V season. Well, to be honest with you, We actually don't have one because Oscar Mangan, not racing in the Formula V's this season, disappointingly. He's sticking to his GT3 and endurance endeavours. So we do hope to see Oscar back in the future. But that means we will have a new champion. The seasons of defending Jordan Kelly championships are over. Although he is a multiple-time Formula V champion. So that could still definitely happen here in RTA. Sean McGoldrick in 10th now. We see him heading up towards the start-finish line in that very vibrant yellow livery. Up and across the line, where is he going to improve to? If he does improve, he jumps up to 7th, so a lot better there for Sean McGoldrick. Here's Ronan Doherty circling around to the final corner. As he is coming, he's pulled off to that right-hand side, it seems, or else he's tucking into the slipstream. It's currently Doherty quickest of the order, Dylan McClements in second, Conor Melly in third, and there goes Sean McClements. Pips Ronan Doherty, quickest of the session so far, and Sean hasn't got an awful lot of practice under his belt here in this one, but the pace has arrived, and Sean is quickest of the order so far. Had a fabulous ending to the Motorsport.ie Mustang America's Cup last season, picking up multiple race wins and 6 podiums in total. They'll be looking to continue on that strong form and get a good start here in Snetterton. Picked up a podium in Willow Springs at the season opener last season, but of course he reminded us in the post-race interviews that my absence was the only reason that he got that one, but that later turned out to be debunked. But Ronan now, I suppose, has to try and go quicker. He was sitting very comfortable, not really pushing that much because he thought he had pole in his back pocket, but Sean McClements has gone that bit quicker, and it's by a 1/10.5, so fairly substantial improvement from Sean McClements. We see Ronan now starting to push, and that is actually Dylan McClements that he is overtaking in front. So Dylan just letting Ronan through. Ronan tracking decent on this lap, heading in towards the final corner of Murray's, which is an unbelievably difficult corner. It looks so simple, but trust me, it isn't. One little line out of shape and you are off the circuit. Ronan, though, massive improvement so far on this lap, getting a big slipstream as well. I imagine this is going to go quickest here in the session. Up and across the line goes Ronan Doherty. We're just waiting for the improvement to kick in, and there it goes. Quickest of the session so far. Blasts back past Sean McClements, and Sean will have to just watch him wait, and that is 0.4 of a second quicker. He has gone. Ronan just turning it up when he needs to. And I imagine that'll be that for pole, unfortunately. Ronan was quite good in qualifying. There's Conor Melly stuck on the grass, so he'll have to recover that car. Ronan was quite good in qualifying last season, took 3 pole positions. And of course, had Oscar and Jordan dicing for them with him as well. Though those were the only 3 that took poles in the Mustang Cup. So it'll be interesting to see, do we get more than 3 pole sitters this season? That's very wide from someone in front of Tortullo. So that's probably put him off just a little bit. That was actually Peter McCann that ran wide. Peter, another man who has questioned his ability in these Formula Vs, but he's looked very strong so far in qualifying, so I'm not sure where that stemmed from. We'll see how the race trim goes for Peter. Was able to take a podium in Laguna Seca, as now he's decided to back up the entire field to get a good run out of the final corner. Was able to take a podium in the final race at Laguna Seca, and that capped off what he found a decent season. Finished 10th in the A Championship, of course, with 268 points, so definitely a strong effort from Peter, but he feels he's more confident coming into this season off the back of such strong performances. But only time will tell, really. And speaking of time, we've only got a minute left of it here in qualifying, so those who are on laps will be able to finish them for the most part, but the likes of Peter McCann and stuff might struggle to get those across the line. We are, of course, in the 126s, or at least the top 4 are in the 126s, and then from Tortullo down in the 127s and 28s and so on. So we'll be pushing it close with 40 seconds left to go. I don't think the likes of Tony Stack will, although Tony might be able to, as he isn't. Yeah, no, Tony's going to be able to finish his lap here, but he's not improving on it, so I'm not really sure how much he does want to improve his time. Not much improvement throughout the field, because the top 4 are all in the pits and satisfied with where they'll start for this opening race. Tony Stack, one of very few in the top, or one of the very few, I should say, out on track, looking to get into the top 10. Breaking for the final corner then at Murray's comes Tony Stack. I want to really pick up a star or something towards the line to try and boost him there. No, he'll weave and head into the pit lane. So yeah, wouldn't have made it to the line anyways, as my goodness me. He's decided to give us our first airplane crash of this season. I can't imagine that's going to be the last of them. And I suppose speaking of big crashes, Ronan Hederman, you have a bit of experience of a bit of a pit lane crash here in Snetterton, I believe.
Do I?
That video with Evan Walsh.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I thought we may as well speak about glitches and stuff before it inevitably happens.
Yeah, there's a slight bit of an elevation change towards the end of the pit lane, and when it's not in an official session, it's quite fun.
We shall say no more. We hope to not have Snetterton pit lane drama here in RTA once again. But it is Ronan Doherty who is on pole position ahead of Sean McClements in second, Dylan McClements in third, Conor Melly in fourth with Tor Thullo in fifth, and it's Peter McCann ahead of Rory O'Shea in sixth and seventh, Sean McGoldrick in eighth ahead of Robbie Callahan in ninth, and then it's Andrew Murphy in 10th. Tony Stack will start 11th, and I tell you what, I think 11th needs a plaque or something that says Tony Stack was here, because I genuinely think he's got 11th more than any other position for any other driver in RTA. Philip Upson in 12th, Dave Collier will start in 13th, ahead of Wayne O'Keefe in 14th, Matthew Todd in 15th, Josh Brown in 16th, and Mark Ivory in 17th, Jamal Gandor then rounding us out in 18th position. Keep an eye on some of the... we have a few more. We've Rich Murphy in 19th, then we have Nick Tullo in 20th ahead of Jared Thornton and Lachlan Kelly. And of course, we have a standing start returning here for the Formula Vs, and for the first time in the Motorsport.ie Formula V Championship, we go racing at Snetterton. Great start for Ronan Doherty. He's up and away ahead of Sean, who's also nice clear of his brother Dylan. But Conor Mellia might be looking to attack Tortullo and Dylan in towards turn number one. Tortullo able to flick it round the outside of young Dylan McClements here, and Dylan will just try and keep it on the inside down towards the Montreal corner. See some movement in the background as well. Rory O'Shea and Sean McGoldrick looking to go side by side. McGoldrick on the outside of O'Shea, and they've made contact. And Sean McGoldrick is round very early on here in Murray's. There was a little bit of a nudge between himself and Rory, and that has cost Sean McGoldrick to spin round. And sort of incidents is what plagued him towards the end of last season, and it has started off on the wrong footing for McGoldrick. Here's Tony Stack and Dave Collier side by side down towards the Brundle corner in the Nelson section of the circuit, and it's going to be Tony Stack who is going to have to stay behind for the time being. He's under a bit of pressure from Jamal Gandor. What a start from Jamal! Jamal up to 12th position. He's already gained 6 positions so far in this race. Excellent stuff from the Lebanese-man. Sean McClements is looking to defend off Tor Tullo here, and I tell you what, Tor has put the hammer down, and he is looking to get a move on. I think that's an Avengers reference. I've never seen the movie, to be honest, folks. But Sean McClements is going to have to defend from him here. Ronan's away at the front. 1 second he leads as we come round to complete the first lap. Tor Tullo's going to blast past us. Actually, Sean is playing. See, with Ronan Hederman here, is there an issue potentially?
Yeah, it looks like he's potentially got an issue. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't see any contact up on any of the events here, so that's a strange one for Sean. But yeah, not great considering the start he had.
No, it was a good qualifying and a good start. I know Sean has had a couple of sim rig issues in the past, which he might have been plagued him. Remember, you can check out the sim consultants, of course, if you also have sim rig issues. Tony Stack here in a battle with Dave Collier, and that was a massive slide off the corner for Dave Collier, and Jamal Gandor is going to look to nip past. Jamal is up to 10th position here, and that is an excellent move indeed by Jamal to just capitalise on that. Dylan McClements has got ahead of Tor Thullo, so Dylan trying to avenge his brother's woes and stay in front of Tor down towards the left-hand side. Conor Mellia is up to 6th place. Robbie Callahan down to 7th. Andrew Murphy in 8th, and it's Tony Stack. There's a little bit of battling further back. Philip Upson and Rich Murphy making some moves on one another. As you can see, that is Rich Murphy off and into the barrier. That's the first trip into the Armco this season, and that is definitely contact between himself and Philip Upson, because Philip is walking wounded in the final sector of the circuit. Very disappointing for those guys, and we're already starting to see a couple of collisions here, the very early phases at Snetterton. Mark Ivory looking to attack Josh Brown, and Josh only signing up literally minutes before the race. I cannot stress how close enough that was. And he's actually putting on a fairly decent showing here. Wouldn't have got any practice time. Here is Peter McCann actually fighting with Tor Thullo. Fastest lap of the race comes for the man behind the pair, Rory O'Shea. excellent job indeed by Rory to set the fastest lap on this occasion. We're on board with Peter McCann here, down towards turn number 2, the hairpin. Peter's going to try dive it down the inside a lot later in the brakes of Peter McCann. Great respect shown from Tortullo. He's let Peter just make that move stick. Peter is up to 3rd here in this one. But Thor's going to try fight back, as is Rory O'Shea. Dillon is into the slipstream of Ronan Doherty in the front of this one, and they're all just bunching together towards the halfway point in this race. And down towards the left-hander, O'Shea now side by side with Tortullo McCann, I should say, still side by side. Now O'Shea side by side. Thor's just had to lift off, and Thor potentially being a bit too respectful now, just not willing to risk a side by side this early in the race, and completely lifting off. A pleasant surprise, I suppose, for RTA. Extra sportsmanship, even more than you could imagine. Josh Brown is up to 12th. Then Andrew Murphy, McClements now under pressure from Peter McCann. And Peter has got the bit between his teeth here, and he's getting a move on in the early races, or the early part of the race, here in heat number 1 of 3 this evening. We've 2 more races coming after this, folks, but if you're new to RTA, we'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. Most important thing now is this slipstream fight for the race lead, starting the 4th lap at Snetterton. Peter McCann is going to try and make a move on Dylan McClements, but Dylan is going to use attack as the best form of defence, and Peter's going to try and make it 3 wide in towards the first corner. Peter McCann, unbelievable move. He's known for a 3 wide here in RTA. It's actually not going to work out, though. Around the outside of the corner, just seems to have a lot more grip, and Doherty and McClements able to stay ahead. Peter has this inside line, though. That will become the outside for the next flick left, so Peter won't get the run. Dylan will stay in front for the time being, but Peter's got a decent exit off corner, so he'll be able to tuck into the slipstream of Dylan McClements in front, potentially look to make a move as side by side they go. That was lap traffic in front of Doherty, not an issue for Ronan. He's still in the race lead. Look at Peter McCann once again committing it. Look at Peter McCann. He can't go for 1. He must go for 2. They're 3 wide in towards the left-hander, and Peter McCann this time will come out on top. That's an incredible move from Peter. 3 wide twice along the lap. These guys are not taking long to get used to this Formula V car and push it to its maximum capacity. Ronan Doherty looking to try dive it down the inside again, and he is back ahead. This is incredible scrapping here in the early race. 5 minutes 40 down. We still have 4:20 to go, and Ronan Doherty is ahead through the apex of the corner. Peter McCann in second. He'll be slipstreamed from Dylan now, and it seems like 3rd place seems to get the best tow here. We're on board with 4th. Rory O'Shea down towards the richest corner of turn number 1, and unfortunately, it's a little bit dull compared to the last lap. We've not got much movement, although Dylan almost able to sneak it down the inside of Peter McCann. Rory taking a lot of that exit curb. No move on here for him, though. No move on down towards the hairpin. This is allowing Tortullo and Conor Melia to catch back up. And here's Jamal Gandor and Tony Stack. Jamal running the Simsa Esports livery, his company, of course, that he did found in 2016. And then Tony Stack running the Super Mario livery. So you can definitely tell these two apart. There was a car pulled off there. I think that was Lachlan Kelly, who had some problems, as Peter McCann has actually taken the race lead here once again. So McCann is back in front, ahead of Ronan Doherty, and now Dylan McClements are going to look for this as well. Or is he? That's absolute last of the late breakers for Ronan. He's run wide. He's compromised his exit. McCann has sold him a dream, and that's worked out well for Peter. Down towards the right-hander. Peter McCann is ahead once again. Is Dylan McClements going to look to get involved here? This is a brilliant, brilliant section of circuit for racing at Snetterton, and Snetterton providing the goods so far tonight. 7 minutes out of the 10 gone. Still 3 minutes to go here in the opening heat of the evening. Peter McCann will remain in front for the time being. Ronan Doherty in second. Peter will be looking to pick up that slipstream from Lachlan Kelly in front, although not working for the time being. Ronan is going to stay ahead for now. And Robbie Callahan making moves in the background as well, but sticking with this battle on the front because Dylan and Thor are coming close to them towards the first corner. It's a reenact of Noah's Ark in towards the first corner. 2 by 2 they go, and then Rory O'Shea just trailing a little bit behind, but not for long. He's side by side with Tortullo now, and Thor is going to have to just try weave his way round the Munster man, and Peter McCann will remain ahead for the time being, and I think this is the first time in a long time we've not seen a positional change this early on in the lap, but Ronan will try change that down towards the apex of the Brundle corner. Ronan has got past McCann there. I thought he was going to have to leave it later, but Peter now just trying to defend. This is a slipstream nightmare, and this could go multiple ways coming on to the last lap of the race. Dylan McClements looking to try dive down the inside of Peter McCann as well. It's brave from Dylan. Robbie Callaghan, you can see in the background, has just been nipped by Conor McGinley, I should say, apologies. The two Seans are way down the field, unfortunately, in this one. Not playing much of a part in the opening heat. Rory O'Shea is ahead of Thor Tullow, so Thor going to have to try and dive it in towards this left-hander, or even more maturely, just stay behind, as Rory O'Shea is ahead still at the exit of the corner. But this is where it all kicks off once again, folks, into the slipstream. And I think we're coming on to the final lap of the race here, or certainly they'll be pushing it close towards the start-finish line. O'Shea and Tullow, you can see on your screen now. It'll be Tullow on the outside, O'Shea on the inside, and then there's movement for the race lead as well. Peter McCann looking to go for it, but still O'Shea and Tullow side by side. O'Shea will come out in that battle. McCann won't be able to make a move on Ronan Doherty too much, and they know this is probably the last real lap of racing that they can go for it. Last of the late breakers for Conor Melia, looking to get involved in this one and get not just a better points haul in the opener, but a better starting position for round number 2. Crucial exit here. Very important to nail this one, and Ronan Doherty has. He's 3.5 tenths of a second ahead of Peter McCann, and it doesn't look like Peter will be able to go for some last lap dramatics. Rory O'Shea and Thor Tullow will continue on their fight, though. Thor will have the inside line on Rory O'Shea here, but that's not necessarily beneficial for this complex, because the inside becomes the outside very quickly, and disappointingly enough, they're all fairly line astern, apart from Robbie Callan and Thor Tullow, who've made mistakes through that corner. Conor Melia not able to capitalise on Robbie Callaghan's mistake, however, and down towards the left-hander. The clock will strike 10, and Peter McCann will try and have one more go on Ronan Doherty. He's getting really close in towards this final complex, really close into the Murray's right-hander. Is McCann able to potentially get the run towards the line? Doherty will have the benefits of Lachlan Kelly's slipstream in front, and it is going to be Ronan Doherty. He'll take the first heat win of the season here in the Motorsport.ie Formula V Championship. An excellent job from Ronan to fend off there. Conor Melia is just about going to take Robbie Callaghan for 6th place, and it's a very early sort of drag race to the line. We don't usually see them this early on in the season, but it is Doherty who leads home McCann, who leads home McClements. That's technically 2 podiums in a row for Peter McCann, because he got one on the last heat of 2 weeks ago. Jamal Gandor picks up a point paying, or picks up a top 10, I should say. Sean McGoldrick in 11th, Jared Thornton coming home in 12th. We'll run through your full results shortly. And big talking point is going to be whatever played this man's race, because he definitely would have been one up there with the rest of the field. And I've just had confirmation of that issue from Ronan behind the scenes. He jumped the start. So that not only explains his fast start, but it also explains his drive-through penalty. So a rookie error, unfortunately, that for Sean McClements, and one he won't look to make again. Just waiting on Rich Murphy and Philip Upson to round through the final corners. They both had their issue in the early phases of the race. We saw one of them fly off into the barrier, and that wasn't actually Lachlan Kelly who was providing Ronan Doherty this slipstream. I think it could have been Wayne O'Keefe potentially, as Lachlan just rounding out now. Here's Rich Murphy running what almost looks like, you know, a squashy, the jelly. That's what that livery looks like, the pink and blue. And then Philip Upson running a traditional green. So your first heat is sort of done and over with very quickly here in Snetterton. That's the sort of nature of the circuit. Ronan Doherty, your race winner, of course, ahead of Peter McCann and Dylan McClements. Rory O'Shea will start 4th, finished 4th. Thor Tullow then in 5th, and it was Conor Melia in 6th and Robbie Callaghan in 2nd. Dave Collier in 8th with Andrew Murphy in 9th, and then Jamal Gandor in 10th. Sean McGoldrick in 11th, Jared Thornton in 12th, Josh Brown 13th, Mark Ivory in 14th, and it was Nick Tullow, Tony Stack, Matthew Todd, and it was Wayne O'Keefe down in 18th place. Then a little bit further down, it was Sean McClements, of course, ahead of Rich Murphy, Philip Upson, and Lachlan Kelly. But we're all gridded up once again, and we are almost ready to go for the second heat of tonight. Can Ronan get as good a start? He'll have Peter McCann alongside him this time down towards the first corner. Not Sean McClements. Peter will hope to get a bit of a better start, or hope to get a more legal start than Sean necessarily did. We've got the lights coming on now, and 5 of them to be exact. That means we go racing here in Snetterton. It's bogged down for Dylan McClemens. He's bogged off the line, and he'll drop a couple of spots now, falling behind Tortullo. Might fall behind Robbie Callaghan as well. Ronan instantly trying to break the toe. Down towards the first corner. Tortullo, Rory O'Shea continuing where they left off, dicing in towards the first corner. Dylan McClemens only fell to fifth, was able to defend off Robbie Callaghan. He'll look to try regain some spaces down towards the hairpin for the first time. Late braking for Dylan McClemens, you can see there in the green and yellow. He is able to get ahead. Robbie Callaghan also getting past Rory O'Shea. Rory almost losing out to Conor Mellia as well. So disastrous first hairpin for Rory O'Shea, who's fallen down to sixth position. Some good starts throughout the field as well. We have sixth position gain for Sean McClemens, Rich Murphy and Philip Upson, respectively. So they've all got off the line well. We actually have three cars currently not running. That's Jared Thornton, Wayne O'Keefe and Josh Brown, who have all made their way to the pits in one shape or another, and that's very wide, very, very wide. That is Dylan McClemens. Is over Peter McCann goes as well. Drama down towards Nelson for the first time here in the second heat. We've a car gone over there, and that is Peter McCann, who has flipped. Very disappointing for Peter, who finished on the podium in the last heat. Let's have a look at this instant replay. And you can see down towards the Nelson corner. Dylan gets out of shape. Or is that Dylan that got out of shape? No, that's Peter that got out of shape and collected Dylan. And then, car gone over there. Peter McCann just flipped by the car driving in to the apex of the corner. Really nowhere that they could go. There was just 3 or 4 cars sat on the straight. And yeah, utterly disappointing for Peter. It was caused by his own mistake. Dylan McClemens, unfortunately, an innocent victim in that one as well. So that gives Ronan, Doherty and Tortullo a nice comfortable margin at the front of this one. That also promotes Andrew Murphy to 4th here. Sean McGoldrick in 5th position. Sean McGoldrick, 4th position, wide for Andrew Murphy. Through that corner, very disappointing for Andrew Murphy. Just as he got up to 4th, drops down to 5th. Here's Dave Collier fighting with Mark Ivory down towards the apex of the left-hander and the Bentley Straight, of course. A very famous straight in British motorsport history. Many a dice and many a door-to-door overtake made in towards this left corner. Philip Upson won't be able to repeat that. In all honesty, if he managed to do a door-to-door overtake in a Formula V, I'd be very impressed. Rich Murphy is going to let him make that overtake, though. Steve runs very, very wide, and that's not the first time Rich has taken a trip to that gravel trap. I think he took a trip on lap 2 of the first heat as well, I'd like to say, but here is your race leader. This is Ronan Doherty, who is leading Tortullo down towards the first corner. 1.3 seconds is that margin, so it's a lot further than it was at this stage in the first heat. Here's Sean McGoldrick looking to try and get past an old foe, Rory O'Shea. These two fought for a race win in the GT4 Cup. Or sorry, the Super Formula Lights Championship, I should say, back in the Nürburgring 2 seasons ago. Will they be fighting for a race win in heat number 3 here at Snetterton? You'll have to wait for heat 3 to find that one out, folks, as reverse grid, of course, for heat number 3. Conor Mellia looking to try and make a move on Andrew Murphy, but Murphy just not budging for now. There's a bit of contact between the two. That sent Andrew Murphy a little bit wide, and Conor Mellia will just look to tuck into the slipstream once again and try get the run down towards the left-hander, running the famous sort of martini scheme as he has hit the back of him, and that's gone very wrong for Conor Mellia. It just sends Andrew Murphy round. We might have to have another look at that one. I'm not sure if there was actual contact or if it was net code, but I think there might only be one man to blame there. Very sort of peculiar incident. Reminds me actually of another German Super Formula Lights race at the Hockenheim ring where Philip Upson and Sean McClemens made contact in similar fashion, but utterly disappointing for Andrew Murphy. Conor Mellia just running into the back of him. Stewards will definitely be taking a look at that one post-race, I think, if Andrew wishes to report it, because he's had his race hampered with, hasn't he fallen to 10th, mind you, so a pretty impressive recovery nonetheless to not fall outside the top 10 when you're literally sent round on the straight. Here's Sean McClemens looking for the move. He is on a cut through the field job here in heat number 2, and he's gone down the inside of Nick Tullow. Tullow runs very wide, and now Sean McClemens will be able to get past Mark Ivory. Here's a car in the pit lane. That is Dave Collier who's coming to the pit, so that's another spot for McClemens and Ivory, but McClemens has got ahead of Mark, so he's now up to 11. Mark Ivory going to try fight this one back though, and Mark will probably know that this is his best chance to fight with one of the front runners until at least the reverse grid heat. but I just don't think he's enough pace through that first corner to keep with Sean down towards the second, but the real overtaking opportunities provide themselves. So Sean McClements is in 11th. And you can see Sean McGoldrick, the other Sean, getting past Rory O'Shea for third. So McGoldrick up and ahead of O'Shea. Very decent move there for Sean, and he's back onto the podium placings after what I suppose can only be described as a bit of a disappointing qualifying. As you're on board now with Tony Stack, who is trying to chase down Conor Melia. Not sure if Conor sustained any damage in that incident with Andrew Murphy, but his pace hasn't been as, I suppose, decent since. Here, there is Andrew Murphy. You're seeing that. There's another car gone round. Is that Nick Tullow that maybe lost the place? No. It's Mark Ivory, actually, who has gone round. So that is Mark falling down the order even further. He's down to 14th now, 5.2 seconds off Jamal Gandour in 11th. Here is Sean McGoldrick and Rory O'Shea fighting once again. Tortullo a little bit up the road from these two, so this is probably the fight for the final podium placing, and Rory O'Shea hangs it around the outside as we have a look from the suspension of Rory's car back at Sean McGoldrick, and you can see a little bit of breathing between the two as they enter the braking zone. But Sean, very late in the brakes, takes a slightly unconventional line down to the apex of that corner, and you can see he suffered on the apex because of it. There's a little bit of smoke or a little bit of dust coming out of both Doherty and Tortullo's car. That's an unusual thing to see in a Formula V race, but that's just a graphical issue. That's nothing to do with their cars or anything. As Tony Stack is really now looking to have a go at Conor Melia here. So Tony fancies his chances, as Ronan has had a problem or something, because Tortullo's just taken the lead of the race, and there's a problem for Conor Melia as well, who runs very wide. I'm not awfully sure what happened to Ronan Doherty, but he's no longer in the lead. This is going to tell us everything. Instant replay here. As, I mean, he's obviously made some sort of mistake, because you don't just catch up that gap in one braking zone. This is into the Brundle left-hander, Nelson right-hander. I can imagine what's gone wrong here. Yep, he's overshot it. So that is into the grass for Ronan Doherty. Saves it nicely, rejoins behind Tortullo, but a battle for the win here has emerged out of almost nothing. It will be Tor versus Ronan for this one, as O'Shea will once again be overtaken by Sean McGoldrick. We are 7 minutes and 35 seconds into this, so still plenty of time to go to decide Heat 2 here on Gantry TV. If you are watching, make sure to pop a comment on the stream. We'd love to hear from you folks at home. So if you are watching on either our Facebook or YouTube live stream, make sure to let us know your thoughts on the race so far. Sean McClements ahead of Rich Murphy now, so Sean is back into 9th place. And I think Sean's goal here is probably going to be the reverse grid, as that is probably what he's going to try and aim for. Tortullo now with Ronan Doherty, as Doherty is ahead. He's made that look fairly simple down towards the corner where he made the mistake initially. Rory O'Shea is ahead of Sean McGoldrick. And this battle is not going to end until the end of this race, as McGoldrick back down the inside. A little bit wide for Rory O'Shea, but Sean McGoldrick gets the move done at last. But for how long? Because I imagine in probably about a minute's time, we're going to be saying Rory O'Shea is back ahead. When Rory and Sean scrap on track, they're usually there for quite some time. Ronan now here doesn't have the advantage he had when he was leading the race earlier, in that no car was benefiting from his slipstream. Tortullo will gain on the straights every time behind Ronan, because he will have that toe. So it'll be interesting to see what Ronan does with that. As yeah, look, it wasn't even a minute, and Rory O'Shea is back ahead of Sean McGoldrick. Ronan is sort of an ace in knowing what to do with the slipstream. He got a pole position in the Selco.ie Irish Formula V Championship this season purely by sitting in someone's slipstream. Not going to say who, just in case they didn't realise until now. But Ronan knows exactly what to do, I suppose, when it comes to these situations. So Thor will have his hands full in trying to retake that race lead. Sean McGoldrick, however, is going to retake this third place fairly simple. And it seems like Rory gets passed into one, Sean gets passed into the final sector, and we will repeat until the 15th minute of this race. A little bit of lap traffic now for Doherty and Tullow to deal with. That is Wayne O'Keefe. Well, that's Lachlan Kelly, actually, who was pulled out of the way there to just let them through. Nice sportsmanship from Lachlan, because Yeah, he does have to get out of the way. It is blue flags. It's not American racing anymore. We're in the Motorsport America's Cup. We had a couple of lap cars who thought we were running in a... Oh, just as I say that, Sean McGoldrick goes airborne and there's contact between Rory O'Shea as well. The wrong time to complement lap traffic. McGoldrick up and down and out. Rory O'Shea down behind Melia. We might have another look at that one. It just looked like a little bit of indecisiveness from Lachlan Kelly to, I think it was either Lachlan Kelly or Wayne O'Keefe. Just a little bit of indecisiveness in where to go, and that is an absolute disaster for the third place man and for the fourth place man. Let's have a look at this one. Down in towards the Coram corner. Oh, it's just they both moved at the wrong time. Rory went to the left, or sorry, Sean went to go to the left, and then the lap traffic went to the left to let Sean through, and that is when you get an airplane crash. Our flight sim enthusiasts will enjoy that one, but not necessarily Sean McGoldrick, who is down and won't get good points in this race. That is, yeah, I know I've said this a few times, but it is awfully disappointing. As seemingly, Sean McClemens, or at least what the stream chat is telling me, has picked up another drive-through. I'm not sure if Ronan Hederman can confirm that or not.
Sorry, who now? Sorry, I'm watching like 10 million things here. It's like NASA with SpaceX or whatever. Yes, it looks like he has. So
and he's in 8th as well. That's kind of where he wants to be.
Yeah, it's where he wants to be. It's probably where he will stay looking at the table at the moment. But yeah, not a great start to the season for Sean, considering it looked like he had serious pace.
Yeah, I did tell him to practice, to be honest, and he didn't listen to me, so, you know.
Sorry, I've just been told in the chat again, he did jump the start again.
Oh, no. I know we had rolling starts last season, but come on, Sean. You know how to do a race start. You wait for the lights to go off, and then you go. And Sean McClemens has not had a good time at those race starts here tonight. He's currently in 8th, has to serve that drive-through. His brother Dylan, of course, in that incident on the opening lap, so he's down to 12th. That was two of our front runners. Sean McGoldrick became a front runner, then had an airplane crash. And they are dropping like flies here. But one very strong performance is that of Matthew Todd, who's going to get 6th here. Rory O'Shea and Conor Melia fighting now. Rory trying to pick up the pieces from what was his initial battle for 3rd. Even when the guy he was battling with for 3rd gets taken out, he still has to fight for it. He still has to dice for it. And he's able to swoop down the inside of Conor Melia down towards the left-hander. And there's 7 seconds separating these two and the top two now. So if it wasn't confirmed before, probably will be Ronan and Thor who finish in 1st and 2nd in some order. Here is Sean McClemens, who is able to get past Philip Upson and is up to 7th position. Sean's just going to try carry on for as long as possible and then serve that drive through. Andrew Murphy, you can see there, just getting past that lap traffic in the middle sector. Here's Jamal under a bit of pressure. Here's Rory O'Shea and Conor Melia fighting once again. Conor trying to get down the inside of Rory O'Shea here, and he has got the job done briefly, but Rory O'Shea will try fight back, and Rory O'Shea will make contact with Conor, and there's another Formula V slightly leaving the surface, and Conor was the man who potentially caused one of those incidents earlier on in the heat. He's now been victim to one, and Rory is involved in another crash here tonight. It might be a busy evening with Peter McCann and the stewards, and Conor Melia is another front runner that has fallen down the order. Tony Stack might be on for a podium here if something inevitably happens to Rory. There's a minute left to go in this one. We'll have one more lap, so anything could potentially happen as there is elbows out between Rich Murphy and Jamal Gandor. Jamal getting a slight shoulder off the circuit, and he'll look to try and fight Rich Murphy down towards the left-hander. Let's have a look at the Gantry TV replay then. I imagine this is the Conor Melia Rory O'Shea incident. Yes, it is. And let's have a look here in towards the right-hander. What did actually happen? Did Rory make contact with him? I don't think so. Could have been a little bit of net code. Conor definitely getting some form of PTSD from that crash as well. But could have been a little bit of netco there in that one. Oh, there's Jamal Cantor. That's very fierce down the inside. Rich Murphy ran a little bit wide himself, I think, which made that move look a lot more aggressive for Jamal. But Jamal is up to 8th here. And as it stands, a man who was not so confident for the Formula Vs might just have a reverse grid pole. But we will have one more lap. after this one that Rich Murphy will try and take that back in. And remember, Sean McClements as well does have that penalty to come into play. Ronan Doherty leading by 0.4 of a second over Thor Tullow. Fair play to Thor here, because he's given Ronan a run for his money in this race. And when we saw the two McClementses end up down the field, we saw Sean McGoldrick have his issues and Peter McCann as well. It looked like this was going to be a Ronan runaway, but Thor has kept within it here down towards the corner, and he might actually have a go here at Ronan Doherty. Ronan with a slight defensive weave forces Thor to the outside. How brave is he? Not brave enough. Lifts off and will stay behind, but can he get the run through the corner? Oh, both run a bit wide. Thor more so, but that's not hurt him too much. If he can get the run here through this right-hander, might be able to catch close enough, but this is where Ronan is very strong. This is the sector where he was able to claim victory in the first heat, and it looks like he might go for a second here. But Tortolo, actually, that's a brilliant run. That's a brilliant run through Coram. And is he going to be able to get close enough here? If Ronan makes a mistake off this corner, they both run wide. I think the 29 will be okay down towards the start-finish line. And yes, it is going to be Ronan Doherty. He'll go 2 from 2 here in the Motorsport.ie Formula V Championship at Snetterton. Tortolo, though, with an excellent job finishing in second. And to be honest, in a miracle not short of biblical, Rory O'Shea comes home in third. Tony Stack will take fourth. Very, very good result for him. And Sean McClements will come home in fifth, cuts through the field. Philip Upson then will come home behind him, with Matthew Todd down in seventh place. Jamal Gandorton, I think, is going to take the reverse pole, because Rich Murphy has made some other mistakes on that lap and has dropped back. So yeah, will be Jamal on the reverse pole. Keep an eye on last season's most improved driver in the number 961. Still battles raging on, though. This is two of the definite walking wounded. Both have been in the air at least once this race. Sean McGoldrick and Conor Melia. And Melia's going to try and hang it around the outside here on Sean. Every point matters, of course. And even though if it is only one or two that's separating them, they will both try and pick up as much as they can. But it's going to be Sean McGoldrick who will lead home Conor here. He's got a decent enough run, as you see Peter McCann going adventuring slightly on the outside of the final corner. We will hear, of course, from your race winner and hopefully a couple of your podium placers after we run through the full race results. But look, the first two races here at Snetterton have been nothing short of entertaining, I suppose. As we kind of expected that, I think. Returning to Formula V's after driving a GT3 car, I think we kind of expected it a little bit. Ronan Doherty, though, takes the race win. Thor Tullow in second. Rory O'Shea then in third. Tony Stack in fourth, with Sean McClements in fifth. Philip Upson in sixth, and Matthew Todd in seventh. Jamal Gandor in eighth, with Rich Murphy in ninth. Dylan McClements in 10th. Andrew Murphy in 11th. Mark Ivory in 12th. Then it is Nick Tullow in 13th, ahead of Dave Collier in 14th. Sean McGoldrick in 15th, Conor Melia in 16th, and Peter McCann in 17th. Wayne O'Keefe coming home in 18th, and Lachlan Kelly in 19th. And then it is Jared Thornton, Robbie Callahan, and Josh Brown, who all bowed out early from that one. Let's hear from your two-time race winner so far this season, though, in the first two rounds, Ronan Doherty. Hello, Ronan, can you hear me?
Done, yeah.
2 from 2 here. You've not necessarily had it easy, though. It seems like there's two big overtaking opportunities on this track.
Yeah, you can do it in every corner really. The toe's so strong, it's ridiculous. So I messed up bad now in that second race. I was trying to just go for fastest laps, and I nearly went round. So happy enough I could recover it.
Yeah, we saw you ran wide into the right-hander heading into the second sector. We've seen a lot of drivers have problems at that corner, actually. Would that be one of the more difficult ones here that you have to watch out for in the third heat?
Yeah, you kind of have to send it in hard and brake while you've got lots of load on the rear, so it's quite easy to lose the rear over the left, and then you're trying to recover it for the right. So next time, just bring it home.
And then for the third heat, then obviously you've got to start from 8th now. But as we've seen, overtaking not as difficult as the Mustang. Are you hopeful of your chances here?
I don't know. It could be absolute carnage. So I guess I'll just have to wait and see what unfolds in front of me. But I definitely get good starts. It seems so. That should play into my hands for one thing.
Ronan, thank you very much for joining us, and all going well. We'll chat again later on.
Cheers, fellas.
We'll hear from the third place man, Rory O'Shea. Rory, a little bit of an incident-plagued race there for you. Talk us through it, because you seem to be involved in action at every corner.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a quiet race just between me and Sean. We were just trying to catch up to the guys, and then there was the incident with the back marker. I was I was very lucky to kind of get away with that, but I feel like karma, I ended up hitting Connor then, so I'll probably end up getting a penalty for that, which is probably well deserved. So it was a bit chaotic. My head's been all over the place, but I somehow am on the podium. I wasn't expecting it.
Ronan mentioned to us that the slipstream is huge here. I assume that you've discovered the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Straight away from qualifying, it was clearly a big thing. And once you lose it in the race, really, your race is over. That's why me and Sean were working together so hard to try to catch up to the guys ahead.
And then in the third heat here, what are you going to be thinking about most? Is it managing the car, or is it just going for the broke and going for the overtakes?
I think after that race, probably take it easy, avoid incidents, because that was a bit too chaotic for my liking. So hopefully just make as many passes as I can with the drafting and the slipstream, and hopefully I can make my way back up to the podium.
Rory, thank you very much for joining us. We hopefully we'll chat you again later, all going well.
Yeah, cheers, Connor. Yeah.
So good to hear from Ronan and Rory there. We unfortunately didn't get to chat to Thor, but maybe he might join us if he manages to win the final heat. It's a 20-minute heat, of course, coming up, folks, if you're unfamiliar with the format. Final race of the night. Top 8 will be reversed. We're running for the grid when it comes up, but it will be Jamal Ganzor and Matthew Todd on the front row. And Ronan, I suppose it's kind of been a evening focused on the incidents so far.
Yeah, some questionable incidents there. Like, I'm debating on whether the Connor Melia and Andrew Murphy incident wasn't a bit malicious, because there was a bit of pushing on the T2, but just before that, it looked like possibly it was a bit of a revenge bidding. But Andrew probably, the reason for that is Andrew didn't look like he actually had too much speed on him, and it looks like maybe either a lift or a brake. So I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, going into this one, you're seeing, people coming up 14, 15 places here because of the incidents. So people are going to really have to clean up their act.
And obviously you have, I think you have this data in front of you anyways. Are drivers picking up X's for corner cutting here? Because we're seeing a lot run wide.
It looks like there is a few people running wide, but they're taking advantage of it. They're not burning all of them. They're using some of them to their advantage. Like, I'd say the likes of Ronan Doherty there was probably cutting the last corner there wide just to get that little bit extra if he didn't get the proper run on the corner, but nothing major.
Okay, thank you very much, Ronan. Appreciate that. So we will see how these drivers fare in the final heat. The grid will run you through now. Jamal Gantor on pole ahead of Matthew Todd in second. In third place is Philip Upson ahead of Sean McClemens in fourth. Tony Stack in fifth ahead of Rory O'Shea in sixth. Tortullo in seventh, and then Ronan Doherty starts from eighth. In ninth is Rich Murphy. Dylan McClemens in 10th. Andrew Murphy then starts 11th. But Mark Ivory starting in 12th. 13th spot will be Nick Tullo. And then it will be Dave Collier who starts in 14th. Sean McGoldrick will start 15th. And it's Conor Melliott, Peter McCann, Wayne O'Keefe, Lachlan Kelly, Jared Thornton, Robbie Callahan, and Josh Brown as the 5 lights coming on for the final time here at Snetterton 200 as we go racing here for the final time. I think there was one jump start there. Certainly there was someone moving up the order very quickly. Doesn't look like it was Sean McClemens this time round though. Jamal will lead into the first corner. Matthew Todd in second. Philip Upson there in third with Sean McClemens in fourth. Rory O'Shea looking to instantly make a move on McClemens, but Sean makes a move on Philip Upson, so Sean is up to second place. What a cracking start there for him, and late on the brakes goes Rory O'Shea into the right-hander, looking to hang it around the outside of Tony Stack, and Ronan Doherty is up a spot as well ahead of Tortullo, and Andrew Murphy is round in the background. You can see him dropping down the order. Very disappointing there for Andrew. Robbie Callahan, Lachlan Kelly, Josh Brown not getting started in this one, so we're immediately down to 19 runners. Here is Ronan Doherty and Philip Upson side by side in towards the left-hander. Doherty got to be very careful here. He's a lot at stake in this, trying to fling it around the outside. He's got Upson. Is he going to be able to get Tony Stack as well? Tony gives him a wide berth, a lot of racing room given. Tony definitely one of the cleaner racers here in the field. You got to just give him the respect for that. It's Jamal Gandor and Sean McClemens still side by side here. Sean, of course, being given credit by Jamal last season as a driver coach. He's now overtaken his protege, and he's into the race lead here at Snetterton. From 4th to 1st on the opening lap. Cracking start for Sean McClemens. He's up and he's ahead. Rory O'Shea in 3rd will look to try get past Jamal immediately as well. Just seems like Jamal doesn't quite have the pace to lead from the front, but could use this slipstream and try and keep with these guys. The top 10, a strong finish for Jamal, of course. He got 13th of them last season. One podium, I think, is what he'll like to repeat. Down towards the first corner. Jamal on the inside of Rory O'Shea. O'Shea's got to work for this one round the outside. And that is just a very long and adventurous line for O'Shea, but it can work out if he keeps the car in here down towards the hairpin. Jamal will be able to break that a little bit later, having the inside, but O'Shea breaks even later, hangs it round. Brilliant move by Rory O'Shea. He's up and in front and ahead of Jamal Gandor. Rory back to his best here in the single-seaters, it seems. Doherty 5th, Tullow in 6th, if you're wondering how the first and second from the last heat have fared on that opening lap. Tony Stack falling down to 7th with Rich Murphy down to 8th place. Some more movement throughout the field. Conor Mealy in 10th as Jamal Gandor and Rory fighting back here. It seems is there a little bit of contact potentially between Ronan and Matthew Todd? I'm not too sure. But Jamal is down to 3rd. Ronan's up to 4th. So Ronan already in race win contention here in this second or third heat, I should say. This is Tor Tullow and Matthew Todd, who are side by side. Tony Stack looking to get involved as well. Tony has been able to follow Tor through, and Matthew Todd will fall down to 7th. Was stuck on the outside line through that corner with no slipstream or anything being chucked over his bodywork, and he has been. He's been dropped and fallen down to 7th, and very wide out of the corner for Matthew Todd as well. That's going to allow Sean McGoldrick and, not Conor Mealy, Rich Murphy, apologies, go side by side with him down towards the first corner. And is this going to be 3 abreast in towards the apex? They're probably hoping not, but Sean McGoldrick just not able to get in front for the time being. Himself and Matthew Todd still at evens, but Rich Murphy slightly in front, and Murphy will stay in front, and he will be ahead of Matthew Todd and the apex of the corner. Conor Mellion now looking to get involved in this fight. Those 3 dicing has allowed the 2 behind as Rich Murphy went to turn in, had to steer out of the corner, else he would have chopped off Matthew Todd, then cuts across the corner. Oh, that's very precarious, but does a good job, mind you, Rich Murphy, not to hit anyone. Was in a bit of a difficult spot there with 2 cars going around his outside, had to just see position, but it didn't take anyone out in the process. Here's Ronan Doherty. This will be mental if he goes around the outside here. This is bravery at its finest. He is ahead. He was a little bit more ahead than I thought he'd be, to be honest, going into the corner. I thought he would have been 3 abreast with O'Shea and Gandor, but just got the run around the outside, utilised the slipstream, and now it's time to chase after his cousin, Sean McClemens, in first. 1 second separates the 2. You can imagine that they'll catch fairly quickly, but Sean, of course, has good pace and will be able to keep with Ronan, especially using that slipstream. This is Rich Murphy still fighting with Peter McCann, actually. This is who he's fighting with. So Peter has worked his way back up to 8th after the poor starting position due to that crash he had in the second race. But Peter already taking 1 podium tonight. They'll be happy with that indeed. Here is Gandor on the back of Rory O'Shea. It was Sean McGoldrick that plagued Rory O'Shea's race last heat. He was on his rear diffuser and gearbox for the entire race. Jamal Gandor is going to be that driver now, as side by side once again Philip Upson and Rich Murphy. And there's a little bit of a bump there from Dylan McClemens as well. Murphy round. Rich Murphy is around and off the grass on the exit of the Rich's corner, the first turn, and that is very disappointing for Rich, who had a good opening corner. Sorry, I've just realised that Rich has gone off at Rich's, and Ronan Doherty has got ahead of Rory O'Shea here as well. Not into Ronan, actually, into Brundle. So unfortunately the team not able to continue there. Jamal still in 4th. Jared Thornton gets out of Conor Mellion. So Conor's had a problem because he's down to 16th. He was battling for about 9th and 10th. Conor Mellion is down to 16th, so he'll have to try and work through the field. So there's plenty of time to do it, 15 minutes to be exact. Sean McClemens still leads ahead of Ronan Doherty and Rory O'Shea. Then it's Gandor, Tullow and Stack, and you can see Tullow and Stack in the fight here as I think Jamal ran a little bit wide there, kicking up a lot of dirt into the face of Tullow. Thor will be looking to just try and get within that 1 second window, which is about where the slipstream seems to be operating. His fast lap of the race goes to the man you're currently looking at, Rory O'Shea in the High Prix. He is able to take that purple time, and Ronan Doherty will definitely want to beat that, because as you heard in the interview, even when he was out on his own, he was still pushing for fastest laps. Didn't just want to bring the car home, which almost was the cause of his demise, but was able to take both wins so far tonight, Ronan Doherty, and he'd love to start the season off with a hat-trick. No hat-trick for him in the Motorsport.ie Mustang America's Cup, but in the Super Formula Lights Championship, or sorry, the GT4 Cup, I should say, he was able to take a hat-trick at Imola. He's now just taken the race lead here at Snetterton. Sean McClemens down to second, Doherty up to first, into the corner where he made the mistake in that second heat. He's up, he's ahead, but has a fight in his hands once again. These guys aren't going anywhere. Side by side, Dave Collier, Philip Upson. Collier there in 11th, Upson just ahead in 10th, and Upson is up to 10th, and Dave Collier down to 11th, and Nick Tullow in 12th there, just behind us. Look at these guys still going at it. Rory O'Shea not taking no for an answer and sitting behind Sean McClemens. Very, very wide though into the final corner. This has got to give Sean McClemens a run down the Senna straight in towards turn number 1, and you can see they're all just going to be slipstreaming off the back of Ronan Doherty. Sean McClemens going to put his wheels down the inside of Rory O'Shea, and Sean is up and ahead for the time being. He's going to be able to get them both. Oh, he is. He's gone for broken both, and Sean McClemens is up and ahead of Ronan Doherty once again. The race win not taken off him for long. Doherty seizes it back, however. They're going to be swapping and changing down towards the apex. Jamal Gandor fancies a foot in the fight. He's up to fourth, or he's up to third, I should say, immediately dropping back to fourth. This is swapping and changing like it's a stock market on the left-hand side. Sean McClemens once again down to second. Doherty weaving all over the circuit. They're three abreast for second. Doherty just that little bit in front. Ronan giving Jamal the best slipstream though down towards the apex to the corner. Jamal now, that puts him from fourth to second. And they're going to stay free abreast in towards here. Surely someone's got to lift. It's going to be Sean and Jamal who lift. Rory O'Shea will stay in second. They're all smarter and wiser, and they've been around these RTA parts enough to know that's not a good idea. And Rory will be able to take that second position due to Jamal and Sean's act of caution. But 8 minutes and 20 down, still over half the race to go here, and it doesn't look like this one's going to be decided any time soon. The dicing and fighting, thoroughly entertaining. And if you also find it entertaining, make sure to subscribe to us here on Gantry TV and check out RTA Virtual Motorsport as well. We go again, however. McClemens into the slipstream of O'Shea, able to get past Gandor for the time being. Sean McClemens, of course, took 2 wins last season. Both came in heat number 3. Rory O'Shea not able to take a win last season. Could he be on for one now? He's up and ahead of Ronan Doherty. But yeah, both Sean's wins last season came in heat number 3. And oh, look at this. Is he going to go for it now? They're free abreast into the apex. It's a lunge down the inside from Sean McClemens. Ronan's been not necessarily caught napping, but he has been overtaken. Sean now will try to give Jamal the slipstream, and look at Ronan. Ronan wants the slipstream from off Jamal Gandor, almost forcing Jamal off the roads to get that slipstream, but just pulls back over at the right time. He's almost trying to side draft off Jamal. None of them want the best line through the corner. None of them want to run wide and sweep round the outside, except Ronan Doherty, who goes latest on the brakes in towards the right-hander. He's still side by side with Sean McClemens on the apex. McClemens is up and ahead. Incredible racing from these 4. This has been absolutely fantastic, and thankfully doesn't have to end soon. Ronan Doherty still with his car down the inside, but that will become the outside for the next right-hander. There's a lot of interchanging corners here at Snetterton. In case you haven't realised just yet, McClemens will be in front for maybe all of 15 seconds once this slipstream kicks back in. Rory O'Shea could even look to take the race lead here and towards the first corner. And Ronan Doherty we'll just look to try and fight back as well. Look at Sean committing to that inside. Big weave from him. Doherty in front now. We'll have to run around the outside. Jamal Gandor still involved as well. This is letting Thor Tullow and Tony Stack catch up in the background, so these guys can't afford to scrap too much. Certainly none of that shenanigans into the right-hander, because that definitely lost them a couple of tenths of a second. Big lunge. Rory O'Shea and Sean McClemens, sorry. It is O'Shea who is on the outside now, and McClemens will stay in front. Jamal Gandor able to sweep past as well. Once one of them makes an overtake, the other does. There's no losing one position here. You're losing two if you're going to lose one. On board with Jamal Gandor inside the monocoque and looking down at the steering wheel. Jamal Gandor, you can see a little bit. You can see a little bit more in this car compared to the GT3 of last season, so that might suit some drivers better. Certainly, you can't see much more in front of you though, because it is just sort of a train of cars every time. Gap now between Tortullo and Tortullo and Rory O'Shea, I should say. 1.5 seconds. It was 1.8 last time round, so they are catching slowly due to this scrapping, but it's very toned down this time compared to earlier on in the heat. No battling in towards turn number, the traditional turn number 11 and 12, but of course turn number 7 and 8 here on the shorter variation of Snetterton. Now we're looking at Rory O'Shea down towards turn number 1. Rory O'Shea, of course, from County Wexford, looking to make an impact here on the two Antrim drivers and the Lebanese man. Sean McClemens able to get ahead of Ronan Doherty once again. But for how long? Will Ronan be able to fight back at the apex? Not entirely sure he will. You can see here, yeah, we'll have to settle for second. Not for long. Ronan doesn't like settling for second. He wouldn't have the sim racing CV that he has if he did settle for second, time and time again. And Jamal Gandor as well looking to get involved in this one. He certainly has a sim racing CV and a half, starting his sim racing in 1996. Rory O'Shea is going to go from fourth to first here, though, potentially in towards the right hander. Oh, just look how close this is. Very lucky not to make contact. Unbelievable racing. Rory O'Shea fourth to first, and it's not even surprising at this point. 9 laps, probably 9 manoeuvres on each of those laps between these four. O'Shea leads for, I think, the first time here ahead of Ronan and Sean in second and third. We'll give it a second, and then we'll go again down the main straight. A little bit wide for Doherty. Sean McClemens will be able to capitalise on that, although Ronan does have the slipstream. Oh, very wide for Sean McGoldrick in the background, I think that is, who ran very wide there. He is down in 7th, has Dylan McClemens chasing him. That is... Sorry, I thought it was lap traffic, but it's actually just Rory O'Shea. I've been too used to the blue being in front down towards the first corner, but it is Rory O'Shea that is leading this time. No positional change into 1. Is there going to be positional change into 2? If Sean McClemens has anything to say about that, he'll say, yep, absolutely, there is. Don't you worry about that. And O'Shea's been dumped onto the apex, not given much of a room to manoeuvre. And oh, there's a little bit of nudging now. It's starting to get more intense. They're starting to get more antsy and more impatient down the Bentley straight. Jamal Gandor tucked into the slipstream of the race leader. Ronan Doherty is the overspeed, though. That'll give O'Shea the better toe. And remember, Rory was first starting this lap. 2 by 2 they go once again. It really is like boarding onto Noah's Ark, this race, because they just seem to be 2 by 2 at any given point. And I suppose technically they are identical, so it makes sense to someone. Ronan Doherty won't be able to make sense of this overtake, however. Sean McClemens has just sent it from really nowhere and able to get back past. O'Shea right behind McClemens as well, although this is precarious to go around the outside. You don't necessarily want to do it. Yep, O'Shea knows that. Backs off, and the 3-time RTA champion definitely mature about his ways now. Ronan Doherty, of course, as well, a multi-time champion. I think just a 2... Oh, no, sorry, he's a 3-time champion. Is Ronan Doherty as well. Down towards the first corner, he's able to get past Sean McClemens. A no-time RTA champion, which he won't like me saying, but he'd like to change that here in the Formula V season. And Jamal doesn't send it from... Or sorry, Rory O'Shea doesn't send it from behind. Interestingly enough, Tortullo, Sean McGoldrick, Tony Stack now in this fight. It's a 7-car fight for the race win here. Jamal is just slowly falling into the clutches of Tortullo, who finished second in the second heat here for his first RTA podium. Sean McClemens is going to get back past Ronan Doherty. Rory O'Shea is going to go for them both here. Oh my goodness me. How many times have we seen free wide? It's almost not even a special occasion at this point. It is simply routine to go free wide in towards the Brundle and Nelson section of the circuit. And Rory O'Shea is back in front once again. Unfortunately, this is going to end soon. 4 minutes and 15 to be exact. Sean McGoldrick gets past Tortullo. That's the first move we've really seen there. That's in the battle for 5th. And the Valentino Rossi livery, running the number 19, is able to get past Tullo in the 227. Very, very wide for Jamal. Very wide for Jamal. He's gone on a quick lawn mowing expedition and just chopping some grass there. He will fall into the clutches of Sean McGoldrick. The front three are at it again. It's going to be... No, not quite free abreast. Only just 2 in towards the first corner. Only just 2, he says. That's how good the action has been tonight. Rory O'Shea is behind Ronan Doherty now. And really, I still don't know who's going to win this one. It could go to either of them, to be honest. It could go to any of these 4 either if those 3 make contact. But McGoldrick is ahead of these 4, and then it's Tortullo and Jamal Gandor. Tony Stack just a bit behind, and then Dylan McClements is 3.9 behind as well. So Jamal, unfortunately, just not able to keep up with the top 3 for as long as he would have liked, but still a valiant effort from Jamal here tonight, I think, especially given that he wasn't necessarily looking forward to driving this car, and he was fighting for a race win for a good 12, 13 minutes there. So that's very much a positive for Jamal. And he's back in front of this train, just as we say that. Not able to keep up. Oh, he's ran a bit wide, however. So we'll hold that thought for a second, because Sean McGoldrick and Tortullo have just swooped through on Jamal Gandor. And it is Tony Stack who is just behind in this battle as well. So Tony, the only man not being a beneficiary of the mistake from Jamal Gandor. Very close to the rear of Rory O'Shea is Ronan Doherty. As they exit through the final corner. 17 minutes 30 down. I want to say 2 more laps here in this one. We definitely have more than 1, that's for sure. Rory O'Shea going to lose the race lead here in towards the first corner. The thing about this is, if you don't go for an overtake when it's first presented to you, you're going to lose out to the car behind. So their hands are being forced here. They're not able to just sit behind and maybe play a more tactical approach, as here is 3 abreast once again. Jamal Gandor, Sean McGoldrick, Tortullo. If the front 3 weren't providing enough action, these 4 are certainly the peloton providing all the goods. And Rory O'Shea, once again, going to try and take the race lead. Sean just sitting behind for now. I wonder, is there a tactical component to that? Nope, no there isn't. He's going to blast past Ronan Doherty just as we say that, and he's now up to second here at Snetterton 200. We will have 1 more lap after this one, so we will have the final lap of the race, and honestly, there's 3 of them in it here, and it could go to any of them. So do keep your eyes peeled on every little manoeuvre that they are going to make. There's overtaking opportunities around this circuit. Ronan Doherty told us in his post-race 2 interview, pre-race 3 interview, let's see, can he make them work? Because he's had to work for a lot of Formula V achievements in recent days. 2 overtakes on the last lap, not something he's had to tackle just yet. McClement's going to go for the race lead in towards turn number 1. Rory O'Shea will fall to second, but he won't mind that a bit because he will have a toe down towards the back part of the circuit. McClemens will be the man looking to break the slipstream, and he'll be the one who has to start the dodging and weaving. Rory O'Shea forced to the outside necessarily. Ronan Doherty just sitting right behind. You can tell Ronan is playing high-speed chess here, although he's actually nudged Rory O'Shea. That's going to compromise his run out of the left-hander of turn number 3. And here we go then, down the back straight, the Bentley straight for the final time. Rory O'Shea still in front. Sean McClemens is the inside line, but here comes Ronan Doherty. Here comes the Leinster Trophy champion. Here comes the multi-race winner this evening. Doherty is into the lead, but McClemens is not just going to give this one up that easy. There's family pride at stake here, of course. Braking for the left-hander. McClemens can't find a move, can't find an avenue. He's a couple more corners to do it, though. It's not over just yet, but he's got Rory O'Shea hot on his heels, and Rory O'Shea might look for second rather than McClemens looking for first. The clock has struck 20. We're on the final lap of the race. Rory O'Shea is just threading the needle here. Doherty is almost home and dry. Needs 1 more run out of the corner. Rory O'Shea will be looking for a monster run out of here. He's not necessarily going to get it. Runs very wide. Ronan Doherty starts the Motorsport.ie Formula V Championship win with a hat-trick. 3 of the best and a 100% strike rate in Snetterton. Sean McClemens will recover to second after 2 jump starts this evening. Rory O'Shea will come home third for the second time. Sean McGoldrick in fourth. Tony Stack will come home in fifth with Tor Tullo in sixth. Jamal Gandor comes home in seventh. Dylan McClements in eighth. Peter McCann ninth. Conor Mellier in 10th. What a way to start a season. You couldn't really ask for anything better than that. You can see just some of the stragglers coming home behind. Decent result from Wayne O'Keefe in 11th. Dave Collier falling to 12th. And Tullo in 13th. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Robbie Callahan, Lachlan Kelly, or Josh Brown in that. That's three of our debutants who have not necessarily had a debut to remember. They'll probably go for the actual run in round number 2. They might just treat this as a trial run tonight, but that is very impressive by Ronan Doherty. Sean McClemens then in second as well. Decent recovery from Sean for what was an almighty blunder. We'll ask them about it in the interview and see what he has to say. But confirmation of your full race results. Ronan Doherty takes the race win. Sean McClemens in second. Rory O'Shea third. Then it's Sean McGoldrick, Tony Stack, Tor Tullo, Jamal Gandor, Dylan McClemens, Peter McCann, Conor Mellier, Wayne O'Keefe, Dave Collier, Nick Tullo, Andrew Murphy. Then it is Mark Ivory, Philip Upson, Matthew Todd, and Rich Murphy. Then it is Jared Thornton, Lachlan Kelly, Robbie Callahan, and Josh Brown in 22nd. Let's hear from him again then. Ronan Doherty, your race winner for the third time tonight. Ronan, congratulations. 8th to 1st in the last race, 3rd to 1st on the last lap. How did it go from your eyes?
Yeah, obviously went pretty well. I actually missed a gear off the start and that sort of set me back a bit, but just kept plugging away. The tow's so powerful that you can just sort of draft up by everyone to the lead. And then I tried to stay in the front pack and just survive until the end, and I knew whenever it became a 3-car battle that I wanted to be third going onto the back straight, and that's what happened.
Look, after the first race of sort of every season, we always ask everyone, oh, how'd you find the car? But evidently you don't mind it.
No, yeah, it's fun. I wouldn't say it's not realistic. Well, it's based off the American V, so it's different for sure. But it's good crack with the slipstream, and it really opens up the possibility for the order to be shaken up a bit as well with the draft and everything, and racecraft really comes into it. So yeah, they're fun cars.
And then with no Jordan here tonight, I suppose people would like to think he's one of your big title rivals, with other drivers having some issues. You took the full 90 points tonight. I suppose that gives you very much confidence going into the next round.
Oh yeah, of course it does. But look, these cars as well, they're not really, it's a really fun championship to do. It's not too intense. And, as long as you do like 10 laps and you get within like a second of ultimate pace, I mean, the tow's probably just going to carry you the rest of the way. So I'd say most people are feeling confident.
Ronan, congratulations tonight. Another impressive showing from you, and I think any Formula V fans around the globe will certainly know your name by now. And go and enjoy that one, because I imagine that was quite stressful near the end.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sweating buckets here. So cheers, lads.
Let's hear from the second place man in that one then, Sean McClemens. Sean, congratulations. You had to work for that one in the end, but through all fault of your own. 2 jump starts. How did you manage that?
Here, don't talk. The first one, I try to do. I try to go without using the clutch and just hold the brake and release the brake then whenever the lights went out, and that one evidently didn't work. The second one, I'm actually baffled because I hadn't moved. The cars in front of me moved before I even moved, and I ended up getting it. And then the first race too, I had to go through the pits 3 times for it to clear. So I don't know.
Well, you overcame that challenge, I suppose, and went from 4th to 1st in the first lap and then came home 2nd in the end. The pace was quite strong tonight from you here in this car, and once again, you've started the season well.
Yeah. It could be a lot better now as well. Obviously, with the second race getting back to 5th after the drive-through and whatever else, I think if I didn't get a drive-through, it could have been maybe top 3 depending on how the race went. But yeah, pace is there. I done a couple of laps, and with these cars, it's just gonna be about the two, and like it's all just gonna be about the last lap. As long as you're within like top 5, even the last lap's gonna be crucial. Just timing it. That time there, I tried to hold everyone up with a hairpin, and it kind of worked, kind of didn't, and then below the bridge, Ronan stepped up massively, so that there caught him out a good bit, and then he was able to take the win. But no, it should be a good season now. Plenty of racing now, so it's definitely good crack.
And then, of course, looking on to next week, which you actually thought was this week, Silverstone National. Are you looking forward to that one?
Is this not Silverstone now?
No, it's not. Funnily enough.
No, Silverstone National should be brilliant. It was actually one of my first ever RTA races. Was the V's round Silverstone National.
Sorry, it actually was my first RTA race as well. Was Silverstone National.
There you go. First time for everything. But I remember trying to use second gear and everything, not knowing how to drive these cars. But well, not much has changed there. Like I can't even get off the line. But no, Silverstone National should be good crack. Like the last time we were, I easy 6 or 7 wide, and with Jordan missing this week, he'll be there next week. There's a good couple of quick lads missing, so if they're all there next week, it should be hectic enough now.
Sean, thank you very much, and congratulations on the podium once again.
Cheers, Evan.
And then we'll hear from another man for a second time tonight, Rory O'Shea, who joins us. Rory, back on the podium. A bit of a quieter race on the incident front, I suppose.
Yeah, but I wouldn't describe it as a quiet race. It was absolutely mental what me and the lads were doing there, and fair play to us, I think, for all keeping it clean, because I think we were all expecting contact at some point, but it never came, thankfully.
As a whole, how did you find the first race here in the V?
I didn't really know the drafting was going to be such a thing before tonight or before yesterday, so that was a bit of a surprise. But I'm delighted for myself, really, because it wouldn't be a very strong car for me. So the fact I'm able to come away with 2 podiums and I was able to keep up with the lads, I'm happy out, to be honest, with tonight. So hopefully I can keep it up for the rest of the year, for the rest of the season.
And then I know you say you're not necessarily a car that you are exactly comfortable with, but are you glad to be back in a single seater? Because statistically, you have performed better in them.
Yeah, I think so. I think these versus the GTs, I definitely overall prefer the race and the kind of style of race, and I find it a bit, for whatever reason, I find it a little bit easier. But sometimes with these kind of cars with no wings or whatever, I can struggle sometimes. But I've gotten off to a good start here now, so.
Rory, congratulations on the double podium, and we'll let you go enjoy your evening.
Thanks, Adam.
So good to hear from the lads there once again after another very successful evening. Now it's time for driver of the day. Well, actually, no, one thing I want to mention first. If you're wondering why we didn't get to see from Robbie Callahan in the last 2 races, is because he didn't know they existed. He thought the 10-minute race was the only one. So we hopefully will get to see Robbie race in Heat 2 and Heat 3. That's a bit of a howler, to be honest. But driver of the day nominees, we'd like to see you getting them in. Sean McClemens has voted for Jordan Kelly and himself. Arguably, I think Jordan still deserves it more, but that is out for interpretation. Ronan, Hederman, any suggestions?
I was dreading you coming to me on this one, to be honest.
I mean, there is an obvious choice,
Can we just
technically.
give it to the top 3 for that absolute, like, I've never seen cleaner racing between 3 people. I think there was 1 bump by Ronan in that entire battle. Any of them could have taken it. It just would have been the lap. Honestly, like I don't think as good a racer as Ronan is, I think any of them could have taken that, depending on when the race ended. It was brilliant. Outside shouts, Thor came in absolutely screaming in this. Was unbelievable. Just he seemed to be following Ronan through quite heavily for a long time, and then literally like maybe stuck behind Tony. Tony was actually on an absolute stormer today as well.
Actually, I like that shout. Tony Stack, I think, could be a shout.
I think so. Yeah, Tony had three great races and great battling. Yeah,
I
and
mean, sorry, we should clarify as well, just for at home. Obviously, the choice is probably Ronan Doherty, but we always like to go for someone a little bit different. Just if you're a first-time viewer and you're wondering why the guy who won all 3 races isn't getting it, we always go for someone a little bit different.
yeah,
After this weekend, Ronan does not need another accolade. So
I was gonna say it would make a perfect weekend or a perfect week for Ronan Doherty, but I'm sure he's got a driver of the day at some stage.
I'm
I
sure
think
it's
actually,
grand. Like,
I'm sure Ronan, Sean, and Rory all have drivers of the day. So yeah, I think Tony Stack is a good shout for that one.
yeah, let's go for it. Tony Stack will be your Gantry TV driver of the day here, picked on the stream. Remember, if you want to see the points, to check out rtavirtualmotorsport.com, and there's been a couple of penalties handed in by the stewards, so make sure you do go and check out them, of course, folks. A couple of the big incidents that we did speak about. But I think that's all we do have time for, really, here in Snetterton. We'll be back next week at the same time as always, 9 p.m. at Silverstone National Circuit for the Motorsport.ie Formula V Championship. Once again, a big thanks to Leo and Co. from Motorsport.ie for coming on board for another brilliant season. Ronan Doherty's picked himself up a feature race winner trophy, and hopefully we have 6 different drivers picking up them throughout the season. It'll be very, very interesting to see. But from myself, Evan, and Ronan, of course, behind the scenes, a big thanks for joining us tonight, and we will catch you next week, same time, same place. We'll see you then. Stay safe, stay well, and slán go fóill.